All right, we've got Jesse with My Credit Guy, and off camera here, I've got some questions for you. Facebook was generous enough to throw me some softball pitch questions for you. So you don't know what these questions are. I'm just going to throw them out and see what your response is. But um, you've been grateful enough to take these on the fly. So you're in the hot seat right now, Jesse. You
This
ready?
is fun for me. I don't get many on the floor, so I'm up for it.
Yeah, this is cool. This will be good. It'll actually be really supportive too. So the first question that comes up is anything we need to know or expect with all the social security number and personal data that was recently stolen. So I think in the media it was talking about a lot of the breaches that have happened recently. So
Yeah,
this is actually it's a great question. So
I
what do you have
love
on
this
that?
question, and it is so timely because uh, it's the data breach is historic. Like there's never been one that has been as big, and they have sold and will continue to sell all of that data in the depths of the black market of the internet, right? And so I've been fielding this question often, not as much as I expected, which is a little alarming to me, right? Because there are a lot of things to consider. Here's some ideas, right? And really, here's what I've done up until this point. In general, regardless of a historic data breach or not, I personally believe that you should be monitoring your personal credit by having a credit monitoring app in place. There's free ones that are out there. They're not going to give you as wide of coverage, right? But I think it's better than nothing. But then there also is, pay for apps that are $15 to $35 a month. It's going to give you a wider range of not only visibility but also protection. I think that you should take your time to look into those. Some suggestions, and we're not affiliated with any of these, but I like CreditWise. I like Identity IQ. There's a credit sitter program that's out there, and then obviously direct Credit Karma is even okay. Just make sure you know what the credit scores that you're looking at have nothing to do with a credit score for buying a house, buying a car, credit cards, nothing. Those are just personal scores, but the information is valuable. And then directly to the source of my FICO. FICO produces the majority of the credit scores for lending, and you're going to get a little bit more pricey category. I think that's something that you should do and literally just look at a fresh credit report once a month and make sure that when you're scrolling through on those new accounts, right? Most of those services come with notifications that a new account is reported. Click on it. Find out, was it truly mine, right? Did I get a new Capital One credit card? If not, I need to call somebody. And really, you can call Ryan, who can connect you with us, or you would be able to go through some channels of the credit bureaus as well, because that is essentially the potential of identity theft is present. And I can tell you, finding out as soon as it happens is going to make this whole potential issue feel like it's not really that big of a deal because if you handle it right away, it's not that big of a problem.
So would you
Finding it out, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, would you support putting a lock on your credit? Should you freeze your credit scores? Would that be something that would be mindful for people to do? And
That's also something that you can do, right? I've just had people that have forgot that they've done it, and then it turns into a little bit of a headache to call all three bureaus and confirm that they've removed it
right.
when we're trying to apply for something. But yes, you can lock your credit and everything will be totally fine as well.
Okay.
Another piece is that I have some people that actually came to me and asked if it was a good idea for them to lock down their children's credit related to their social security number. Now, you may not think you're going, wait, my children don't have anything. It's like, let's keep it that way, right? Like, and so you can actually lock down your children's, do a credit freeze, right, with the bureaus to lock that down so that nothing opens in
Dude,
those
that's
situations.
gold right there. I mean, we as a parent, right? We're the guider, the protector for our kids. And to be completely honest, I hadn't even thought about locking down
Yeah,
my kids' social. That's genius.
yeah, they don't need it right now, so why have it open and available for somebody to apply on it?
Yeah,
So.
great tip. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Jesse. That's perfect. All right, got a couple more here for you. All right, you ready?
Yes.
So, question comes in asking, is it better to have more or less credit cards? I know there's a lot of variables to that. I think I kind of know the answer to it, but you support having, a bunch of credit cards open or just one or two? What do you kind of see as a best practice?
The couple ways to answer this question, right? Like as far as like how we see the credit scoring algorithms work, 2 to 3 is ideal as it relates to the minimum, right? The bigger question is the way that you help yourself in credit card like behavior is credit utilization. Always making payments on time, keeping them less than 30, and if you can, less than 10%, balance to limit ratio. That's ideal. Now, if you were to ask me personally, what do you think about somebody having 10 or 15 credit cards? To me, it's like that's a lot to keep up with, right?
Right.
There's annual fees. You want to make sure auto pay is set up on all of them. If you don't use one of them for a year, it eventually is going to close, right? I just got notification. So I went out as an experiment and I tried to open 10 credit cards in one day. And I got to seven or eight. And then they shut me down and said,
Well done. That's a lot of work.
who's this guy that's trying to open 10 credit cards today? And the last two shut me down. But I did it to prove a point, right? And the inquiries really don't make that much impact to your credit. But and for me to keep those open, I literally have to use them every 6 months. So I throw the kids in the car, we go to Menards, we go to Lowe's, we go to Home Depot, right? And we make a $10 or $20 purchase, sure. But you don't have to do what I do to try to like figure all this out. So any like 2 to 3, you're totally fine with. There's a lot of people out there that love to play the points game. I don't specifically, but that's where you get into the kind of credit card hacks. And the only thing I can say is don't let it get overwhelming because once you start seeing lates, or even if you forget about something that has an annual fee, they'll hit you with a late payment and they'll roll it to a 60 and they won't even call you. You usually don't know until you get notification that it's closed. And that can absolutely trash your credit. So just don't get overwhelmed.
Yeah, that great answer to that. I thought I knew the answer to it, but you actually articulated it well better than I could. Here's one of the things that I've always told clients is that when you take out that Macy's card, that Lowe's card, that Home Depot card, it's specific to those vendors. You better shop there because if you're just taking it out to get 10% off around the holidays on that one tool that you're buying, the way that credit works is it now is sort of attached with you, right? You've got history
Yep.
with it. If you take it out and then you just close it a couple months later, it literally did no good. The other thing is, let's talk about history because let's say I've got one credit card, just for simple numbers, I've got one credit card 10 years old and I just took out a new one. It's only 1 month old. What happened to my credit history, right? There's an average between those two cards, and your credit history effectively has been shrunk, even though you have history for 10 years with one
Yep.
credit card. It's smaller now because you have that. So I see that often where we have clients with, I mean, I've seen 10, 15 credit cards. It's weird. They'll get a Lowe's card and then instead of just getting a different limit, they get another Lowe's card. Same client, right? They'll have two Home Depot cards, two Sears cards, or I don't even know if Sears is a thing anymore. That's the other thing. Go get a Sears card or a Mervin's card, and the place isn't even there anymore. Well, guess what? You're not using that card, and
Yep.
eventually it's going to sort of fall asleep and fade off the support that it's giving you on your credit.
Yeah, there's two things that I point out with store credit cards specifically, and one is, like you said, it needs to be something that you use pretty regularly, at least a couple times a year. And then the other thing is, number one, if you plan on opening it, it's new, it's going to, as you mentioned, but specifically, it will dilute the average age of your open accounts, right? So if you have two that are 10 years and one that's 1 month, they're just going to put all those months together and create a new average, which usually, if it stays above 5 years, you're in good shape. But it's just sometimes it doesn't make sense to put that in the mix. Now, the biggest thing that I talk about with store credit cards is that you'll notice when you go to apply for store credit cards, they're usually saying how much are you going to spend today because you're going for some sort of special financing. So let's say I'm going to spend $1,500 on lumber and tile at Home Depot. So I love the idea of getting a $2,000 credit card because it's going to be 0% interest for 60 months. I'm the type of person where I take advantage of those special offers. I love free money. If you're going to charge me 0% APR, I will consider it if it's within my budget and I can manage that. What I won't do though is I won't let Home Depot open a $2,000 line on a $1,500 purchase. I'm going to say if you can approve me for 5,000 or $7,500,
Right.
I will spend the 15 on this card today. And the reason that is because I don't want to open a credit card that shows up on the credit report today pretty much maxed out. That doesn't help anybody.
The holidays are notorious for that. So somebody will go out and they get that credit card for the $500 they're spending in the moment, and it's a $500 limit. Well, guess what? They put $500 on it, and then when January rolls around, they're shocked that their credit score is, 40 points lower. It's like you just opened a new account, so you diluted your history. You maxed out that new account, has no history behind it, so they're a little nervous. It's terrible, right? That's not a great move. And and you did it to save 10%. I've seen it time and time again. We're helping somebody with a refinance or we're helping somebody with a purchase, and the cost that they're going to incur for that lower score is way greater than the 10% they just saved on that 500K or $500 purchase. So
Some people for sure. I would say that like almost every single credit report I look at has a THD Home, Home Depot credit card with Citibank. Like it's almost
100%.
yeah.
They're always stacked. Awesome. We're a little tight on time, so let me see if I have one more like easy, quick one here for you.
That
Um, I think you actually, really quick. What makes your score go down? We just talked about it a little bit, right? Diluting your history, but also carrying too much of a balance. You don't have to be late, but if you stack too much on that card, you're actually going to lose a lot of points because you're telling the credit bureau, hey, I'm maxed out. They don't know what your capacity is, how you're going to pay your debt back. They're trying to slow the accumulation of new debt by lowering your score down. Obviously, late payments. Anything else you could think of real quick?
well, like you bring up what I talk about the most, and it's your credit utilization. It's the most overlooked, right? Because people say, well, they gave me $1,000 limit. I only have 750 on it. I've made a payment every day. It's like, listen, you are being a good customer to them. They're very happy. They're not going to charge you late payments or they're going to charge you late fees. But the credit scoring algorithm cannot use income as a factor, so they have to use risk and ratios, right? So when you have that 30% or more, or 50% or more, that's when they're going to start showing you as a risk. So paying down your credit cards is good and strategic. But the other thing is, it doesn't always take money. Let's be creative here, right? If you have a credit card that you've had for a long time and you've been a great customer of theirs, and you just needed to use a little bit more of the credit availability, I understand. I've been in those situations as well, right? Last couple of years in our industry has been very interesting. But call that credit card company up and say, "Hey, things are good. When's the last time we've reviewed my income? Can you up my limit $2,000?" So paying down $2,000 and increasing a limit $2,000, if you're comfortable with that and you can be very responsible with how it's being spent, that they really create the same separation for utilization. So that's really where I would focus.
That's the pro tip right there, guys. Seriously, you don't have to just pay it down. You can expand it a little if you plan to carry it for just a short period of time, but create that space. You'll see that the credit score either improve or not decline as fast.
Right.
I can't tell you how many times we've seen people that are just they're broken because they moved from the 800 credit score to like a 720. They're like, I don't know what happened. Well, they went and used a $500 credit card that had a $500 limit. And it's so simple, they can easily pay it off. But like you said, income isn't factored into that equation. So they have to go off of risk and boom, they get a ding against their credit. So awesome. Thank you so much, Jesse. Really, really appreciate you spending the time with me today. This is super helpful. I know these are sometimes simple questions, but man, we oftentimes overlook it. Appreciate
Good
you.
info. Those are great questions. Your Facebook
Yeah,
group did a good job.
awesome. Thank you so
All
much,
right,
Jesse.
Ryan.
I'll talk to you next time.